This is not a test. Don't expect to be impressed. Put on your life vest. Sit down your armrest. It's time to stray from the grind. Don't take my hand, 'cause you'll find no peace of mind. Side quest.
Hi there, and welcome to Side Quest, the every other week podcast we do in between adventures. Maybe we'll have a fascinating guest. Maybe we'll just talk shit about media stuff. Maybe we'll do both. And before we get into the mix of doing both, who do we have with us today? We've got the regular crew. We've got Rick Voltari. We've got myself, Steve Wetherill. We've got Robert Bevan. We've got Drew Hayes. We have a special guest today. We have M.K Gibson with us, author of Villains Rule and the Technomancer series. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to
Hey,
Side
thanks for
Quest.
having me. I really appreciate it. Big fan.
So, by the way, Steve, fuck you for Rick Walteri.
Oh, come on, man. I get your name right 9 times out of 10 these days. Okay.
All right, so is it like from the horse's mouth? Is it Walteri?
Gualtieri.
There you go. He got it right. We could just keep on getting guests on. They'll get your name right.
The real
Mr.
fucking weird
Giuliani?
thing is I can spell it after all these years, and that's a weird fucking thing to have just embedded in my brain.
You're suddenly
I
my
really
favorite person, Drew.
Okay, MK Gibson, Gibby, as you've
Yes,
asked
please.
us to call you.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
It's better than MK. That sounds like
Well, it's only because MikeGibson.com was taken, so I needed to like do something.
yeah. Villains Rule. I wanted to talk to you about the concept of that because it sounds really cool.
Okay.
Basically, a consultancy agency that trains up villains
Yeah.
to compete more effectively in their respective genres. Is that right?
Yeah, more or less. It came off as like so many years ago. My friend and I were just bullshitting at work when we should have been working, and we like this idea of like some guy talking to a generic like Skeletor type character. We called him like Skullgrim or something like that. And I just kind of ran with that idea, and I kept going with it, and it turned into like, but I didn't know exactly how to frame it. So yeah, I decided like, what if I had a irredeemable character, like a villain as your protagonist who doesn't have redeeming qualities. He has black humor and on top of black humor. And every time you think there's a redeemable moment, I just take it away. So I have a person from the real world who leases a pocket dimension, is technically a god. So he brings in villains from other dimensions and he trains them up. But because he's from the real world, he knows all the tropes, and but he's not as bright as he thinks he is. So he knows the villains are going to lose at the end, because that's writing 101. 9 times out of 10, the bad guy loses, and he knows this, but he still takes their money, makes them better, and just moves on to the next project. And the first book explains
He's a
lot of
capitalist. Just
without a doubt. I mean, he takes pride in it. Like I write him neither left nor right. He is just an unrepentant asshole, and he knows it, and he wallows in it. And in the first book, it's he goes to a generic fantasy realm to help like that out, and he gets double crossed, and he's got to use his knowledge of the tropes to fight his way out, get his revenge, and get his business back, kind of thing. And then the second book's comic books, and the third book is space opera, and the fourth one I riff on heist movies. But as the books go on, he starts to change as a person. And I was writing at the time when I married my wife, had my son, and like, so I was late in my life. So I was 36 when I got married and had my kid. And so I'm mirroring that through Jackson's world, but I just do it without taking the piss out of everything. And as long as I can tell a joke, can I tell it dirtier or darker? And that's what I just go with. And surprisingly, that's the series that people seem to love.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
I can 100% dig that.
it's a solid philosophy.
Yeah, sounds fun.
When I've read the bulk of your guys' books, when I hear a lot of some of the same humor, I'm like, I know I'm in the right company, and I feel like I'm literally following your guys' footsteps, because you guys started doing it years ahead, and I think I'm just playing catch up. So this has been great. So I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, there's something fun. Like I've often said, like, when I'm watching TV, like what was there was a show on Netflix. I think it was either Ravenous or something, but it was about like basically this overweight girl. She loses weight. She becomes a beauty queen, and everybody in everybody in this show is just absolutely an awful individual. And I just love the hell watching that, because like good and bad, yeah, they can be kind of they kind of follow those rules, but people who are just kind of they want to be good, but they're a little bit awful. You never know what the hell they're going to do. And I just love watching that crap.
Did you ever watch? I mean, obviously you have things like Breaking Bad, but even dirtier than that was did you ever watch The Shield?
Yes. I
Yeah.
did.
Oh, dude, Vic Mackey was such a irredeemable character. In the very first episode, he killed somebody to cover his own business. No matter how many good things he did, you can never unwatch what he did in the very beginning. So there's always a stain on his soul. But yet you are compelled to watch these bad people do bad things and work even harder. But had he just known a few jokes, he might have gotten out of a few more situations. And I love those kind of characters. I love my heroic characters, but man, I love watching a bad guy for a while. And I think a lot of us do, because it's just, we've grown up with the good guy in white and the bad guy in black, and, good guy wins. And sometimes you want to see the bad guy get ahead for a while.
Yeah. Like watching the Hound on Game of Thrones or so. It's it's okay. He has this nice relationship going with Arya. Oh, he just backhanded her. Yeah.
He's an awful prick, but he's funny. So that was always Paul White's problem. You watch Breaking Bad and you keep on getting to this points where is he completely irredeemable now? Does he still have saving grace? And it's eventually it's no, this is a monster. But then you're maybe tell a few jokes.
Well, I base it an awful lot, my love of pro wrestling, for example, when I grew up with it. So you've got, your good guys, your bad guys, and they flip flop. As long as you tell the story well enough, your audience or your readers, they'll follow along. Just make it organic and make it plausible, and they'll go along with it. So,
yeah, charisma goes a long way.
What in pro wrestling is organic, plausible, or a good story?
All of it, Bob. Every last fucking
Thank you.
lick.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Thank you very much.
I don't know if you've ever been attending live in person wrestling shows, Bob. I mean, on TV.
I have not.
Okay. Oh, surprise!
Oh, you should.
But it's interesting in that, on TV, you always get the boos for the bad guys, the cheers for the good guys. But in person, it can be a little different, because sometimes you got those good guys or those bad guys that people just fucking love. Yeah, remember Shawn Michaels as a bad guy. I think he was a lot more popular. Yeah.
I'm currently writing a new series, which is surprise superheroes. I don't know if you heard of it. Apparently, they're very popular. So I'm dipping my toe into that, but I'm using it from a point of superheroes meets pro wrestling, where is it real? Are they doing it in such a way? Are the cows and the capes interchangeable? And it's been a lot of fun because it's an action comedy, and it's as long as I'm making myself laugh and having fun, it's been great to write. So I'm looking forward when that comes out.
No, that's great to hear, because ultimately, I think and I think most of us agree, we're our first audience that we're writing for.
That's a good hybrid too, because there's not a lot of space between pro wrestling and superheroes if you get down to it.
Oh my God, it's if you want a great superhero name, you can't think of one, or just go to the Top Gun call sign maker. Those themselves are just superhero names, just waiting to happen. In pro wrestling names, pro wrestlers, you look at their mask, you look at their costumes, you look at their personalities, and then when they switch and become a bad guy, I've read that in comics for years and years, and the line is very thin, and I'm trying to blend the two into this little side story of mine. So we'll see if it works.
I'd love to make a superhero franchise where everyone's just named after 80s hair metal songs. That's
awesome. The cool thing is, Steve, you're a writer.
Yeah, you can do that. I'd love to. I'm a lazy man.
If only my biggest enemy, myself, wasn't standing in my way yet again.
And my apathy.
Yeah, we talked about us being our first audience, and in my case, a lot of times it just stops there.
I love that. Who are you? I'm the one they call Dr. Feelgood.
Dr. Feelgood. Starbreaker, lover boy.
meets Cinderella, and over there is Striper. We don't talk about them. We don't talk about that.
So tell us, your story. How did you
yeah. I guess
how did you get to this point?
I guess I should do that. I am like the worst hype man for myself, as some of my sales will show. All right, so check it. I've been wanting to write ever since I was a kid. You know, I grew up reading like, you know, Dragonlance books and The Hobbit and all that bullshit. You know, that's what I grew up on. And I told my stepdad I want to be a writer, and he said, "Shut up, you don't do that." And it broke my little heart. So you know, I dicked around in school, and I wasn't that great because the ADD was kicking in. And then I went to school, pissed that away, and I left college with a 1.6 GPA, like my junior year. I'm like, well, and I wrecked my truck and I lost my girlfriend. I was one dead dog away from a country song. So I joined the military. I joined the Air Force, and I did that for 20 years. And I retired, and it was great. I had a good time. But during that time, I kept writing because my job, well, like I worked for Intel, but I spent a lot of time writing tech reports and just practicing writing and doing narratives. But I also spent a lot of time meeting people, traveling around the world, getting personality quirks, finding what people like and dislike, and getting to serve with some amazing human beings. And a lot of that translates into my characters. I'll pluck in, you know, little bits of personality from different people. So right around 2012, a friend of mine challenged. He's like, someone needs to write a cyberpunk meets magic meets Cthulhu meets this, and I'm like, I'll try it. And that's when my Technomancer books were first born. And I was having a lot of fun with that. And my first few drafts, I hated it, and I scrapped it, started again, hated it. So 24, but I eventually started writing my first draft, and I started like trying to, you know, sell it to agents and publishers or whoever, because I had read, I think it was Peter Klein's Ex-Heroes books and Jim Bernheimer's Confessions of a D-List Villain. And no disrespect to them, because I actually worked with Jim for years. I was like, I can do this. I just need to just buckle down and actually do the work, you know, and I did. And so I was shopping around. I got a whole wall of frame rejections, like just big nose. And eventually Permuted Press picked up a whole bunch of us, and then let a whole bunch of us go. But I had met some people, so that I jumped ship over to Ragnarok Press with Tim Markowitz, and then they had to start letting people go. I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm running out of options. And then a friend from that introduced me to Jim Bernheimer, who the D-List Supervillains gentleman, and he gave me a shot. And my first book came out in 2016. So I've been writing since then. I got about 11 or 12 books out now, and I've got 2 more in the can. And I retired from the military in 2016. So right about that. So the last 6 years, it's been writing. So the last 6 years as a government contractor. But this past December, I said, I'm done. I'm going to make this my full-time job, because, you know, I'm fortunate that because of my 20 years, I've got my military retirement, my VA covered. So that covers all our bills, and I've got a couple years salary saved. So I'm like, shit or get off the pot, take away the safety net. And my wife is like, you've been so supportive of us for so many years, go for it, you know? And so I've got almost 2 full books written in the last, since December. So, and I'll be making my next surge forward to like get some more stuff out there, and things like this are very helpful. And that, thanks to Michaela, you're a wonderful fan, and thank you so much for helping set this up. You know, I'll honor our bet, and I'll put you in one of my books. And so,
yeah, look at you being all adult and doing this shit the right way.
Oh God, no. The thing is, like, I did it. I would love to have done it sooner, but I wasn't mentally there. I mean, I'm in my mid 40s. I'm a giant child. Poop jokes make me laugh, but like you can add the maturity plus the immaturity and together and make a compelling story and have fun. And you know, I've literally for the last like decade, I've been reading y'all's books as inspiration, if nothing else. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, awesome, man.
You're welcome.
Glad you enjoyed them.
Oh, dude, it's yeah. I like I said, but it was Drew getting hopped on. Yeah, like I was like, I could fanboy out for quite a while, and I'm trying to keep it cool. And yeah, it's not working.
Well, it looks like you have quite a few series. You have Agents of Mortals, you have Hammer of Witches, and you had the Technomancer. So I know people know you for the Shadowmaster. Sorry,
yeah,
my tongue-tied there. Which is the Villains Rule, the first one.
Yep.
But you want to run everybody through all your other series, because man, you've been busy.
Sure. Yeah, and I just started a 5th series because
my goodness,
I'm stupid. I need to close one of these sons of bitches out, but you got to go where the muse takes you. All right, real fast. Agents of Mortal was my version of a cop story, urban fantasy, action humor, comedy cop story. Basically, all the myths came out, all the things that go bump in the night came out like a great big, because we Americans and people around the world, we love urban fantasy, paranormal, and everything like that. And so the things, all the hidden creatures of the world figured that meant acceptance. And what do we do when we meet something we don't like? We hate it. So everybody got shipped up to Alaska, and there's a mega super city up there. So it's kind of set in this Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets Men in Black meets Bright kind of setting. And it's a fun action adventure cop story that's a love letter to like, Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and those movies I grew up on. But from the point of view of like these cops who work side by side with the myths. And then Hammer of Witches. Now that one, like, it's got the lowest amount of reviews, but the one that people like the most, because that's my attempt at a serious drama. One of my characters from the Technomancer books, I loved her so much that I want to tell her backstory. So before, the Technomancer is it's after the biblical apocalypse, demons rise, hell takes over, and it's a mix of technology and magic and cyborgs, and it's a lot of fun. But I liked one of the characters so much, I told her story before all that happened. And so you've got this girl who's a hemophiliac, and she got a transfusion of witch's blood, and she could start seeing the things that are out there, and those things could see her. And it's written more as more of a drama with a lot of heart, a lot of darkness. And I love setting my protagonists up and then beating them down as hard as I possibly can to make them stand back up again. And Aggie has been that character, and that's the one that resonates with a lot of people for some reason. So, and as long as people keep liking it, I'll keep writing it. And yeah, I'm just started my 5th series because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you do. I think eventually you do have to bring one of them home there.
I do understand exactly that problem, having too many damn series.
Oh, without it.
I want to hear the story about the witch who was so hard up for cash she needed to donate plasma.
Well, motherfucker. I mean, the story opens up with like her mom being killed, and like she was killed by witches. And so when one of the witches betrays the other one, leaves them dying on the lawn, the EMT shows up, tries to break the little girl out of the house. And she gets injured and being broken out, and there's a guy dying on the front lawn. He knows he's done for. And he's like, so the EMT does the blood transfusion.
You see, if Bevan had wrote a story, it would have just happened by sharing a needle.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm a little low on my crack fund this week. So.
This witch weed costs a shitload.
The great thing about this blood bank, they don't ask questions.
They don't ask questions.
There's a werewolf standing behind her.
Well, that's in my Shadow Master book, the very first one. It opens up with his waiting room, and there's like just a werewolf just licking himself in public, just waiting for his turn. So
if you got it, flaunt it.
Well, it's funny. I did a convention, a villain con, like right between the COVID breaks. Like I forget which variant was, because it was right in the middle of one of them. And one of the girls across in one of the booths, she was selling some of that pixel art stuff, and she's looking at my book. She's like, "I've seen your books." I'm like, "Oh, cool." She's like, "I haven't bought any." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." She's like, "No, I do a lot of audio books, and every time I get a Drew Hayes book, it says you might like this, but I never pick it up." So I'm like, "Well, thanks."
No. See, that's actually a good thing, because that's how I originally built my readership. I had a bunch of people saying, I kept seeing your books, and like the customers also liked thing, and eventually my brain just melted. So I finally said, "Fuck it, I'll buy it already," just to get them to stop bugging me. So that's a good thing. You're probably like one Drew Hayes book away from her just saying, "Fine."
I mean, I was literally right there. I'm like, "I'll send you an audio code for free if that's what you want." Like,
don't push it, man. Just let the algorithm get it.
Yeah,
it'll get it.
That's how marketing works.
Yeah, I have to start doing that. Because I'm walking away. I'm taking all my rights coming back to me at the end of the month. So I'll be like completely solo and independent. So this is that sink or swim, live or die moment. And I'm cool. I'm excited to go forward with this, and good or bad, like I said, if I have a few readers, fantastic, I'll write for you. And I've been teaching myself graphic design and graphic art. So I'm starting to design my own covers, and it's a labor of love, but I love doing it. And I love making people laugh. I had one fan reach out to me, and he doesn't mind me sharing it. And his name was John Bruno. He's an amazing human being, but he was in a dark place, and he told me as much in his email. And he says, in a real bad place, but the Villains books were such dark humor, made him laugh and lifted his spirits, and it kept him from taking a final step, if you will. And so I threw that in the book. I said, with permission, I'd like to share this letter in the book. because that series is very fourth wall breaking. It talks to the audience all the time. And he's like, by all means, please do, maybe if it can help somebody else too. And I've had some really amazing people that reach out and support me. And that makes it worth it. It's not the royalty checks, which would be nice, but it's the people, and I love them.
That's wonderful. As a counterpoint to that, sometimes people reach out to me on the podcast and they say, sometimes I'm listening to the podcast while I'm driving and I laugh so hard I nearly veer off the road and die. So it's kind of, it balances out. That's what I like about it.
That cycle of life.
I thought you were going to go to a darker place like that.
I've gotten plenty of those. Like, man, I was listening to your stuff in the car, and I almost hit a bus in front of me and murdered like 72 children. It's like, I'm glad you didn't.
For everyone we bring back from the edge, we will kill a school bus full of children.
And while I like the glowing reviews, don't get me wrong, I love the vitriolic 1 and 2 star reviews, because means I got under your skin. I got to you, So
yeah, better reaction than indifference.
Oh yeah, it's the 3-star manifestos that like. And I've read 1,000 books a year, and I'll have you know that this one just goes nowhere real fast, and like it's 19 pages long. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, the 1 and 2 stars where they just have nothing. You could just feel the bile dripping out of their mouth. Those are kind of fun to read. Like there's this one in the UK for Bill, and it's just like 6 paragraphs of how much this guy hates Bill's roommates. And I just love reading this.
Dude, I love the roommates. They were fun. The Optimus Prime, Totem, like that was ballsy, man. I love that.
Oh, but this one guy, he must have lived with these guys at some point, because he's just like, it's like, let me tell you why else I hate these. When my first Villains book came out, it was my second book I had ever put out, and I got some decent reviews. Like it does way better on Audible than it does on Amazon or like Kindle or anything like that. But I did get this Kindle review which basically said like I within 1 page I tried to get a refund, and I was like, what the problem? I'm like, oh, because in the second book I grabbed a whole bunch of 1 and 2 star reviews, and from the character the villain advisor Jackson, he read them and then responded to them in like in the prologue to the book, like, hey, Jackhole 69 at whatever, fuck you too, and like so, and that was
I like this idea.
It was,
oh Jesus, oh god.
And it was like, because the character's self-aware as far as he's concerned, he's real, and Gibson is just his scribe who's writing down these adventures of his. And so when you crawl up your own meta butt, I'm like, I can do things. I start pulling off jokes you can only do on the audiobooks. And I was working with the narrator. I said, hey man, would you be okay with putting like an extra line or two that's not in the ebook? He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I want you to talk to yourself, meaning I want the character to talk to you, the narrator, and like to show his dominance of power, say Jeff Kafer has a penguin penis. And he thought it was hilarious, and he wrote it in there. So I have him lines of him talking to himself, and he's altering his voice to where he's like, fine, Jeffrey Kafer has a penguin penis. He's like, there, I said it, and like, and the protagonist is really happy with himself. And
I like that.
And it became such a shtick that like my fans like, what are you going to do in the next book? And then even the narrator, Jeffrey's like, what are you going to do in the next book? He's like, I'm friends with R.C. Bray, so I can have him hop in to do a guest line. I'm like, okay, let's write out a script. So, okay, let's do this. So
yeah, well, once you do it once, that is your thing, and you better deliver.
Did I do that? What you talking about, Willis? I got to keep these things going.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, that is great.
Well, thank you. All right, enough about me. Let's talk about the MCU.
I didn't finish Moon Knight.
We did have a backup topic. Should we?
Fuck you, Drew.
Run out of steam?
The final episode is a good one.
Oh, is it? Okay, I mean,
it is not. They're lying to you.
No, it's
before we jump onto that,
midway through episode 4 is slow enough that it lost me.
I want to. Can I ask Robert a quick question?
I haven't seen any of this shit.
No. I'm just as a fan of your work, I have a legitimate question.
Yes.
In the critical failure stuff, like basically what are you using? Like 3.5 open source? How do you get away with using some of the things from a legal standpoint?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's kind of 3.5 based, but I call it Caverns and Creatures and hope that's enough to distance myself.
Well, no, because most of the things you use, because I hate to admit, like I mean, I know you obviously you guys play games, but I'm like I've been a D&D nerd for years, and I play in one and run another. But I mean, most of the stuff you use is 3.5, and I'm like, that's got an open gaming license to use. Everybody can use. That's Pathfinder was built off of it, So I was just curious what you use to like just for your differentiation. If it's just caverns, that's cool.
I'm careful to not use beholders and things that are right.
Yeah, you got to watch your ass on some monsters. It's a weird thing there.
Oh yeah,
right. I was just curious. I mean, obviously, because like every other writer, I've got a lit RPG story in the back of my head cooking that I want to like get into that money when start a 6th series because I'm stupid. But I was just curious. While I had you here, I just wanted to ask, how'd you do it? What was the impetus behind it?
Yeah, they just haven't come after me yet.
Perfect. Love it.
I guess ask forgiveness, not permission is Bob's.
It's funny.
Asked and answered.
I actually approached a Pathfinder or Paizo when I was doing Silas Kane scrolls because I wanted to use Torag in the book, and I was like, hey, so what would a licensing deal with? And the rep who got back to me was really cool. He was like, he's like, how many are you expecting to sell? I'm like, it's for a podcast. I'm not expecting to sell a ton, It's for like our fans. I'll probably enjoy it. And he's like, okay, any licensing agreement we're going to give you is going to suck for you. He's like, you know what you do? He's like, you take that character and you change the spelling around and we won't care.
Well, that's pretty cool of him to
That's awesome.
Yeah.
be upfront about.
What was his name, Rick, so we can get him fired?
Cover that ass.
Get his job.
Hell no, I want that person to stay employed just in case I ever do this again.
Just in case he got some other copyright
Get inside information.
Just take the Bevan approach and don't give a fuck or think about it until a guest brings it up on your podcast some years later.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I've thought plenty about it. I'm just it hasn't happened yet. Fingers crossed.
That's awesome.
The engine light is on, but the car is still rolling. It's fine.
Yeah, you're gonna get knocked on your door. It's like who are you? It's like we're a division of Wizards of the Coast called Wizards of the Fist, and we're here.
We just bought D&D Beyond, and it's about time to get beyond kicking your ass.
We're Wizards of the Cost, and it's time to pay up.
So you guys would just go with Wizards of the Cock. I mean, it's right there. It's low-hanging fruit. Someone take it. Or is that the next movie?
We could have went there. We could have went straight for Wizards of the Cock and an ass reaming. We could have went there and we didn't. We're losing our fucking edge, guys.
You got to build up to Wizards of the Cock. You can't like jump right in.
Well, I mean at least at least the tip. I mean, you don't want to go balls deep on Wizards of the Cock. You got to like.
Yeah, those low-hanging fruits will smack you.
Whizzing from the cock. Oh.
Damn it.
Yeah, so Moon Knight, anyway.
Oh, yeah, Moon Knight.
No, I was.
Finish it.
Yeah, I didn't
start it.
Feel anything for it. I compared it to drinking a passable pint of non-alcoholic beer. It's like, all right, I'm not thirsty anymore. It tasted okay. I really don't want another one.
I will say this: most of the Disney Plus shows, I equate them to eating Doritos. Stick with me. That first bite, oh, it's so good. Oh my God. And the second one it's okay, and the third, by a certain number, you're not getting that dopamine hit anymore because your mouth is on fire. And that's what every one of these shows feels like to me, because they open it up with like, what's this? What's this weird question? We're coming at it from a different angle. And then at the end, it's just a sky beam. It's just a battle on a sky beam. And every one of them seems to like just kind of stumble towards the end. The only one I felt was consistent beginning to end was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because it was basically just a sci-fi original movie, just cut into parts.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked it the most because it I hate to say it didn't try very hard, and I appreciated that because it didn't swing for the fences.
It was the one that felt the most like somebody had finished watching Winter Soldier and then just carried on ad-libbing for a bit. And I thought that was okay. I thought that was kind of what you want to see from a Marvel spin-off show.
Yeah, buddy comedy is always sort of a good, a strong ground. I think I preferred WandaVision over all of them, but that's predominantly because I was essentially raised by television, and a lot of the sitcoms they were riffing on were functionally parental figures in my life. So it was almost a show written explicitly for people like me, and so that just connected way hard.
Very similar. I mean, I already have I'm a big Wanda stan. She's my favorite MCU character because I feel like she's the most dimensional of all the characters across the MCU. But by the end of it, it just felt very generic. And I hate to say it in such a shitty term, they put a lot of work into this, and it was still good, but it's kind of like Lost. All these questions, all these mysteries, and then in the end, you got hardly any answers, and what you did get wasn't very satisfactory.
I disagree. I thought that then, but I rewatched it a while back with my son, and I was surprised at how much Lost actually answered. I found myself satisfied with the ending.
I never watched Lost.
I love that in the year 2022, Bob has not watched anything of the water cooler talk, but he has gone back and checked out Lost.
Out of spite.
That was enjoyable to me. Also, I love every Dorito.
Every
Even Cool
Dorito
Ranch.
that goes into my mouth
Oh
is
no!
as good as the last
Unless
one.
it's connected to a Marvel show.
I have such a salty tooth. That first one hits me like the brains on like electricity and fire and happiness. And the second one, because your tongue's still coated in the dust, it's like it's not hitting as hard, but it's still good. And by the third and the fourth, you're just doing it because you've always done it, And
That's probably why you're not as fat as I am.
Eventually, it all becomes tasteless, bland mush, which is pretty good analogy for most
eventually it all
of the
becomes
MCU TV.
Well, that's kind of what I was going with it. It's like I still love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, when I was a kid, I can't speak to all your relative ages, but a person of my age, like when I grew up, you only had Star Trek, Star Wars, Flash Gordon, and Highlander, as your touchstones to nerddom, and there's Rankin Bass Hobbit cartoons. So we didn't have. I mean, my son, who's 10 now, has never not known a world of fantasy and magic and superheroes and all that shit. He didn't have to go to the hard times. He's always had a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings and MCU and blah 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 blah. So.
You know what I've done? I watched Daredevil and Punisher again, and I have problems.
So did I.
And I have problems with the Netflix shows, but it's interesting watching them compared to say a Moon Knight, where it's like there's a brutality in those Netflix shows that there is no way Disney is even going to come close to doing.
I did the same thing. I went back and rewatched specifically Daredevil and Punisher, and man, Punisher. I mean, Daredevil seasons 1 and 3 are so good, and the half of 2, all the Punisher stuff, and they did so much with such a small budget and such a good drama, made me care so much that I'm like, I don't need the flying crazy lightning powers to when he's just arguing with Foggy, and I'm.
You can just put Daredevil in a corridor with some bad guys and get some really compelling shit.
Yeah.
But I guess Moon Knight was the first MCU spin-off that had really nothing to do with the movies or the overall Marvel universe as a whole. Nothing from the films or was introduced to it. And it kind of left me flat. Oscar Isaac was really charming. He did a really great performance. Every time Moon Knight was on the screen, except when he was that slightly incompetent guy in the suit.
Liked him.
Even that, but the actual Moon Knight guy is like, when the trailer came out, and I said on this podcast, I really loved that trailer right up until Moon Knight appeared. That's exactly how I feel about the series. And it hasn't left me overly optimistic about the She-Hulk trailer, even though I've been gunning for a She-Hulk series for a while now.
Same. Well, I think Moon Knight, the character from the comics is not what they're portraying. The character in the comics has been retconned and retconned and retconned for years. The gentleman on the screen, it looks just like a cross between Batman and Spawn, and I find that the least interesting thing about Moon Knight. You know, Oscar Isaac's so good; he has charisma with himself. That man's got sex appeal with everybody, to include himself. And
we've talked to we have a female counterpart podcast, and every single one of them wants to see Oscar Isaac fucking himself quite vigorously. I mean, that'll sell.
that's not even my thing. But I'm like, dude, do it because he's good at it. I mean, look at him.
I'd commission it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, Andy Serkis, we're gonna have to wire you up because obviously
Mocap
CGI.
yourself.
Andy Serkis, you're the only man who could do this for some reason.
One thing I liked, my favorite episodes of Moon Knight was just him going through his drama and his past more than anything else. And whenever the Steven character was getting in out of danger, because people kept calling him a coward. People say he's weak-willed. I'm like, I disagree, because the Steven aspect, yes, he's bumbling and he's befuddling and he's terribly Britishly charming and in a Hugh Grant kind of way, but he always runs towards danger. He doesn't stop. He doesn't freeze. He still reacts, and he's still doing things in the face of fear. If anything, he's more courageous than the other character who acts like Han Solo. When there is, like, I don't care about danger, it doesn't bother me. Steven is actually more courageous in that way. And I appreciated that take on the character and what he was doing. But by the end, I'm just, oh, you haven't finished watching it, have you, Drew? That's sorry.
Well,
I'm probably not going to. It's okay.
Oh yeah, for everybody tuning in, spoilers.
But part of the problem is the last couple of these Disney Plus shows, they've been doing these short ass 6-episode seasons, and I mean, one could argue that the Netflix 12-episode seasons were a bit too long at times, right? But I mean, these 6 episodes, barely 40-minute shows.
I don't know, man. I'd
You
rather
can't tell a full
too
story.
thin than too thick on that one, because I enjoy Umbrella Academy in general, but season 2, wow.
It gilded the lily a little bit, yeah.
I think there's a happy medium, maybe 9 or 10 episodes to get a decent arc going, but 6, especially with Moon Knight, because 6, there was essentially 2 wasted episodes where we're just playing mental games with each other, then suddenly it's over.
I mean, the best thing I've seen on television recently has been Arcane, and that was 9 episodes. And that was, I mean, has anybody else watched Arcane? Just me?
Was that Netflix?
I've heard good things.
The Arcane, it's the animated show, and that blew me away with its style, its storytelling, and how much I'd never played League of Legends, but people and purportedly this doesn't, League of Legends have that much lore, so they're kind of building off of these kind of one-liners about these characters. It doesn't matter. They create this Carnival Row style steampunky world with elements of magic, but it's in essence, it's about just these 2 sisters growing together, growing apart, and this horrible world of class warfare set in a steampunk universe. And it is fucking beautiful and heartbreaking and funny and awesome in every way. And every character has agency. The relationships are not just like romantic, but just how people see and the roles that they change. I'm glowing about it, how good it is. So I can't recommend it enough. And so when I watch something like that, and it's 9 episodes, 3 episodes arc, 3 episodes arc, 3 episodes final arc. And it's take note, MCU, that's how you should be doing it. So
another thing I would add, that's 9 episodes of animation, can't be cheap. Disney, more money than God. You're going to say 6 episodes so we can really put the money where it counts? Then Moon Knight shouldn't look like shit.
Well, all right, hang on. Let's see what Moon Knight's budget was.
Most of it must have went on Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, I've been hearing
that was money well spent.
Yeah,
money well spent. She-Hulk was it has a 15 million per episode budget or something
like that.
I haven't seen the She-Hulk trailer, but that one is intentional. I've kind of started avoiding trailers as much as possible, just because unless it's something that I know nothing about and I need to get a general sense, everything being a sequel or a spinoff means I typically kind of know if I want to go see something, and I don't want to have more information than necessary. I'd rather be surprised at every turn.
I tried, but when the latest Thor trailer came out, I was just like, click.
Same.
Yeah. You might be surprised by how bad this She-Hulk CGI is.
It's bad. But what's kind of cool about it is reportedly it's every episode, it's like an Ally McBeal like style action comedy. So
Yeah.
you're gonna all those scenes we see with her and the Hulk, I assume, are on flashback. So, but each one is supposed to be, she's representing a different superhero or supervillain in a legal case.
That's reassuring because that's kind of what I wanted from a She-Hulk.
Right, me too.
And I didn't really get that from the trailer at all.
No, I think the trailer is showing us something because I forget IndieWire, one of those websites where they said the 6 episodes, each one is it's a different case or she's helping a different like supervillain criminal or do whatever. So I think a lot of the other stuff we're seeing from the trailer, like I said, is flashback or like, you know, side story or whatever that's been skimmed off the various episodes. So I'm stoked to see where it goes because again, but I'm also a stupid sucker. You can punch me in the mouth a million times and I'm just gonna go back and watch it again. Like, all right,
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I got a question for y'all, because I have an opinion on this, but I'm curious if I'm an anomaly or not. 15 million an episode for shitty CGI. Would anybody really buck if the TV show just pulled a classic like Hulk and cast a female bodybuilder to play She-Hulk when she transforms and did some nice fancy costuming instead of the CGI? Like, I think you could make it a lot cheaper and honestly maybe better if we did a Lou Ferrigno.
Well, I mean, look at like Guardians of the Galaxy. You got Gamora and you got Drax. You know, they're both Zoe Saldana and like David just wearing makeup.
She-Hulk's the digital She-Hulk we have. She's tall, but she's not like amazingly Hulk jacked.
No,
they
she's
could have
not.
got like somebody with a female wrestler bod and just painted them green.
100%.
And throw a nice wig on. Like, costumes come a long way since the 80s.
But can they act? The thing is, can they act? And this is so you know that actress. I mean, if you ever watched Orphan Black, she's a phenomenal actress. So can they act? Can they carry a scene? And that's the reason. There's a reason old Lou didn't speak much during those episodes because I grew up on that.
Yeah.
So my question is, where?
I feel like you could find somebody who fit the physique and could carry a scene.
How did he always have $5 in his pocket to steal a pair of jeans and a new flannel shirt at the end of every episode? That's what I want to know.
It was in his ass. We all knew it was in his
He's seen
ass.
a lot of dick otherwise, and we just weren't ready for that back then. These days, it'd be just no $5, just dick. But no, I think sometimes the person who has the right physicality for the job can just carry it. John Cena in Peacemaker, he looks like an action figure, and he's in the right role to just look like an action figure. And surprisingly good, but looking the part for him was a good half the role.
Well, yeah, I mean, but before Gina Carano decided, I guess, to become a terrible person, I think a lot of people were like, well, why don't you give her the role or so?
Yeah, that would have made sense.
Yeah, she's not tall enough.
You can fake. You can the tall stuff can be faked. I mean, look at like Lord of the Rings.
Tom
like 20
Cruise
years ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Also,
Tom Cruise is even more accurate.
Because I just rewatched.
Run.
I just rewatched Top Gun in preparation for when Maverick comes out, and I'm like, there's so many off-screen boxes he's clearly standing on because Kelly McGillis is this legitimate 6'10" woman, and he's like on eye level, and like that poor tiny man.
Billionaire, but tiny.
Yeah, rich.
Yeah.
Rich and a legitimate action figure like person has learned to do all his own stunts and shit.
He learned to fly a helicopter just to be on the scene. And apparently, they've got him in real jets in this new movie because obviously cinematography's come such a long way since the 80s that he goes, I want the audience to feel everything. I'm like, all right.
I mean, God bless him. He's one of the few fuckers still pushing for some practical effects in his action movie.
I want
the audience to forget that I am 4'5".
Well, apparently, I want the audience to feel everything except where Kelly McGillis is right now.
Yeah. But it's like I was watching. I was showing my son, who's I love him. He's a great kid, but he does not care about the MCU. The only thing he likes so far is Shang-Chi, because it's an anime, and that's what he loved that. So I was trying to show him Infinity War, and we got about to the scene where Doctor Strange is talking to Tony Stark, and they're on the alien ship, and Tony's feet are off camera because Benedict Cumberbatch is like a legit 6'2", and Robert Downey Jr. clearly is not, and he's clearly walking on like a board just where his feet are off screen, so he could be on par with Doc Strange. And it was even my son's like, is that man short? I'm like, yes, son, he is. It's okay. So. Oh no, dead
Oh.
air. Someone tell a fart. Someone tell a fart joke.
That's all right. We normally edit in a fart joke.
Every few seconds.
Yeah, we've got a load of them just like pre-recorded, just in case.
That's the best.
Like a drive time morning radio show. Welcome to the Fort Patrol.
Yeah, so let me tell you about this time I was taking a shit and
I love how we all probably grew up in different areas, but everybody had the exact same shitty morning show.
It sounds like the worst, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet Rick's Jersey version was probably the topper.
But Rick, if you want to stay on for an extra 10 minutes after record and just like record a load of safety, seedy radio DJ guys from Jersey,
Just do a bunch of the Rick D's in the morning. I mean,
yeah, Rick D's in the morning.
well, no, that was the legitimate guy back.
Really?
Yeah. In the
Sounds
80s.
like you were just making fun of Rick.
No, no, not Rick D's
G's
nuts.
in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. No, Rick D's in the morning. Oh God, like that you had to have syndication in Jersey, like because like, yeah, I grew up on the East Coast in Maryland, and we had all that same shit all the time.
yeah, I mean, as a kid, I didn't listen to much radio. And by the time I started listening to radio, I was already driving. So it was either like Howard Stern or like Opie and Anthony.
Opie and Anthony, yeah.
There we go. We definitely need to just record some filler.
I mean, we could do a whole side quest of us pretending to be radio DJs.
We
I
probably
can
could.
find I can find something for us to justify a mimic of that.
Yeah, just get nice and tanked up, do some things we regret, make it into a side quest. Yeah.
Count me in.
Bevan, what was your growing up equivalent of Rick D's in the morning?
I don't remember what they were called, but yeah, we had them.
Well, everyone had them. Yeah.
I remember in college it was Kid Craddock because I always thought it was saying Kid Chronic, and then I was disappointed.
Well, Kid Chronic would make sense. What does Kid Chronic mean? No, let's not get into it. It doesn't deserve our time.
Yeah.
There's no joy in peeling that away.
It's probably just a last name and a boring one at that. So.
If you're out there, Kid Craddock, and you want us to continue this conversation, send us money.
I actually think he passed away.
Oh shit!
What? Like, way to jinx Kid Craddock. God damn.
Well, if Kid Craddock's family
Loved
is
ones
listening,
can send us money.
No, it's like the Tolkien, like the Cranach estate is going to give you a cease and desist.
Did you say orc? Did you say orc, motherfucker?
Yeah, they got the trademark on Krennic going.
Dude, we were this close to getting Kranich goes out. They're going to get a Kranich. He's like a monster. It's going to be awesome in the next role playing game. Shut your fucking mouth.
You got a garage full of Krennic Crunch that nobody's like it's like 30 years old. Nobody's bought it.
That's like those bags of Malto meal, the shitty off brands my parents would buy me because they were too cheap to give me the good stuff. So it was like, like Crisp Crunch. Anybody else have parents that didn't love Yeti things? Okay.
Hell, I did that to my kids.
I don't know if I've gone through the cereal lately, but people have gone fucking nuts, man. They are fusing everything. I mean, Cinnamon Toast Golden Grams I was on board with, but now we've got fucking Tricks with goddamn Lucky Charms marshmallows woven in.
So it's diabetes in a box.
Flavored oatmeal.
Yes, I saw that. I saw it in the grocery store the other day. Yeah, Trix flavored oatmeal.
Oh fuck! I bought a Cinnamon Toast Crunch cupcake mix, and
I just got excited when I was at Costco and I got chocolate peanut butter checks. I was like, ooh,
so good. Why did they only start releasing this shit when I'm old enough that it'll kill me? That
because
seems
marijuana just became legal a few years ago.
I was born in the wrong.
I'm really surprised like Cheerios isn't down that route. It's like hemp flavored
Marijuana.
Cheerios.
They have. There's weird fucking Cheerio shit too.
I want to be born now. I want to be a baby.
There was pumpkin
secondhand
spice
marijuana.
Cheerios this
I
year.
have Cinnamon
Exactly.
Toast Rice Krispie treats in my pantry right now.
I don't want to be born now. Now, granted, I would love to be in my 30s again. That'd be fucking awesome. But no, I don't want to be born now.
I think if I was 20, I could maybe take this for 5 years before I died.
Yeah, I'm with you, Gibby. Like, I don't want to be born right now because I know when I grow up, I'm gonna be wearing my I don't know, my Master Blaster leather, and like I'm gonna be like, you know, murdering people for drops of water.
Yeah. It'd be worth it though.
Like humongous, just like assless chaps and a hockey mask, you know.
So we had the golden years and now we die in the fighting pits, but it was worth it.
That's a future I'm not looking forward to. Sorry, son. I tried my best to make it a good world, but yeah, fuck it.
Maybe I should just dive into the American cereals now, save myself some time.
I mean,
Oh,
maybe
dude.
that's the real secret is the cereal manufacturers know the world is burning and they're like, fuck it, it's all going down.
Yeah.
It's all big mix now, baby.
I think you can eat. This is just science. You can't argue with it. Eat all the Trix flavored cereal you want. Everything is crazy. They just have a bowl of like mini wheats afterwards, and the fiber will just push it all out. So they get the flavor, you shit out on the bad. That's just science.
Excellent. Oh my God, I've been looking for a scientific explanation.
There
for
it is, baby. Just gave it to
Been
you.
looking for a solution. Excellent.
You know, something. Just wait for Trix mini wheats, and you can like solve it all in one.
You heard it here. If you
Or
were
you can be
looking for a
lactose
solution,
intolerant and the milk will do the job for you.
you can put whatever you want into your body as long as you shit hard enough.
Oh, God.
What does the doctor always say? You need more fiber in your diet, and there's a reason. So just there you go, more poop. It's just more poop.
Oh man,
Hey,
I
got
got
to the poop
another
joke.
feeling because I had a stomach virus last week, and
I ate chicken wings today.
It's essentially like my digestive tract was a straight line that was maybe like 2.5 feet long.
See, if you knew that was coming, you could have been like, right, I'm hitting the cereal aisle. I'm having whatever I want.
I had chicken wings today that were 6 days old, so I'm waiting to see what happens. So
Yeah,
I looked in the fridge, I'm like-
my barbecue covered grape nuts.
I'm just imagining Rick on like day 3 eating cheese by the brick. Like, I'm going to stop this up somehow.
don't go with a cork, just cheese. That's your answer.
I should point out just again, if you're just tuning into this for some reason, we are not qualified nutritionists. And you should not follow our advice.
You're pretty jacked. Come on, tell us a secret.
Just cheese, mate.
That's fuck it. There it is.
We are sponsored by Velveeta. And
Is that cheese?
I mean, it's to cheese is what Authors and Dragons is to authors.
Yeah, it tastes a bit like what I want.
It's technically cheese.
It fills my intestinal cavities. All right, it's fine.
Hey, it says cheese-like food product on the side, and damn it, they're right. It is a cheese-like food product. So
Authors and Dragons, sponsored by cheese-like food products. Shit real hard, and you'll be fine.
But we're gonna make you work for it.
you could always just go out and intentionally get a tapeworm. When I was stationed in Korea, they used to sell those. You go to like the pharmacies, you could buy a little
Holy
capsule.
shit.
No, this is a
there
true
for
fucking
15
story.
years. I've never seen that.
Oh, dude, when I was in Sungtong, outside of Osan Air Base, I was stationed at one of the little pharmacies down there. They would sell you a little capsule with give you a tapeworm, and then there's a second capsule you take after a few days to kill it after you drop the appropriate amount of weight.
Oh, the Koreans are so ahead of us.
Jesus.
Because they specifically told us when I was stationed over there, you're not allowed into these. Of course, everybody went in, but you're not allowed to go in because their pharmacists can act as doctors and prescribe drugs and medicine. They didn't want a whole bunch of the soldiers, sailors, and Army and Marines that stationed there to
I didn't realize I could have
dose themselves.
Have a parasite eat my mistakes. I've just been sitting here eating my own mistakes like an idiot.
I've heard about this before. I just didn't realize it was so prevalent in Korea.
Well, I don't know if it was prevalent. I just saw it as one place. So, I mean, it could have been sketchy for all I know. I don't speak Korean.
I'd say with some certainty it was a little sketchy.
Yeah, I need to get a plane ticket because I need to lose some weight, but I'm lazy.
I mean, Rick, why don't we just invite them to Authors and Dragons? Come on,
What,
let them sell
We
the shop.
have tapeworms in America, Rick.
well, no,
Authors and Dragons gone.
By
Sponsored
America.
by.
truck stop sushi. Just go get sushi from a gas station. It will do the exact same. It's like
There
Fry
are other
Futurama.
worms.
Yeah. Do you ever remember that episode of Futurama where Fry got the worms? I want those worms.
Lick a dog's ass.
John does love to talk about his gas station chicken wings.
That's true. All right, we should set up a table at A&D Con for quick and brutal weight loss solutions. We should also probably hire some porta potties, I guess. But
Here's this chilled bottle of Mexican water. You can start with this.
Hey, Steve, here's your tapeworm infused Taco Bell.
Oh,
Here's
God.
this shrimp that's been sitting under a heat lamp for the last 9 hours. Eat this.
And a quesarito with extra sour cream. We call it the porcelain breaker.
I love the quesarito. Oh my
Oh,
god!
I do too.
Like when I go, my son, like when we decided to like torture ourselves, he's like, "Dad, can I have 2 quesaritos?" I'm like, "Yes, son," because I'm stupid. I'm getting 2 as well.
I have to say that last time I went to America, I tried Taco Bell that hadn't been sitting in the sun in a bag for an hour,
Right?
and not as bad.
Look, we had to
Didn't,
Uber the Taco Bell. It was not an ideal situation.
It's
Last
If
time I was in
anybody's
the-
curious, there's video of it on our YouTube channel.
Taco
That's
Bell that
awesome.
hasn't been sweating in a bag in the North Carolina sun for however long.
you know, I am so upset that I missed
It's
I
bad.
missed their chicken thing where they essentially they pulled the KFC and they replaced the taco shell with a chicken
chicken.
patty.
Yes.
And
And it's fucking good too.
I so wanted one. And I missed it by like a week.
Well, KFC had the double downer. Was that what it was like? Was the
Yeah.
2 chicken patties in between something? Oh
And
my
it's
god!
fucking glorious.
Well, that one
Yes.
needed more sauce. It was
Yeah.
kind of too thick a chicken, but the Taco Bell, they had their proportions just right.
What I love is they're awesome, but they're also like spitting in the face of God. It's beautiful.
Yeah. But Rick, well, I think what we've learned over the past few years, with the pandemic and various global crises, and us having to reevaluate how we live, is that we only have so much time to choke on our own hubris, and we really need to embrace it. So I want the fast food like the cereal companies, to step up, just start crossing foods that really shouldn't be crossed. It's okay. I'm just going to shit real hard and it'll be fine. You just make our last few years of living on this earth really just mocking the idea of a just and
Yeah,
forgiving
it's
God.
like, it's like McDonald's. Give us a Big Mac, but replace the buns with 2 McRibs.
Oh
Yeah, put it
Well,
all
like
on
the
like a
Instant
poll.
billion.
They tried the Doritos
a
Los
kebab.
Tacos. So
Yeah, credit to Taco Bell and Jack in the Box. Y'all are doing the work. Shout out.
you'll take their sponsorship any day of the week.
I mean, look, they are throwing some weird shit together, and Jack in the Box has a whole fucking menu dedicated to like a croissant grilled cheese burger nugget explosion.
Excellent.
My son and I he recently introduced him to Arby's, and I said, he's like, oh, and he's eating. It's really good. He's like, which one do you get? And I get the one that's like this big. It's like a whole dead cow. Just take the bun off. Like this. That's rookie mistake. You know, that just fills you up. Throw that away and just eat this glorious pile of meat with horsey sauce, son.
Glorious pile of meat. If I could just walk into a fast food restaurant and see that written, I'll have the glorious pile of meat.
Well, dude, it's like
With
it's
cheese.
Arby's. We have the meats. It's right on their sign. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
Arby's is not far off from it.
We have kebab shops in England where it's just like that's what it is. It's like, oh, it's a kebab. It's meat within a container. You don't have to worry about the container. It's a pile of meat. It's a pile of anonymous meat that you can have.
When I used to get drunk in Korea, they had like, I was walking back to the base and they had like the little vendors on the side. They had like this chicken on a stick. It might be chicken. It's slathered in barbecue and they put it on a skewer. And like, I'm like, how many do you want? I went, this many, one for every finger as I'm walking back to the base, you know, so because I'm
Want to
so
be the
drunk. like,
Wolverine of
Yes, and when
anonymous
you're done.
chicken products.
I do remember that taco. Gee, that was one of my my first meals.
where were you at in Korea?
I started in Ujeongbu. And,
Okay.
then I went to Seoul, and then up, and then I spent most of it up in Gimpo.
Okay. I was down Osan Air Base about an hour south of Seoul.
Yeah.
Now, I've been up to Seoul a couple of times, and that blew me away. Like just seeing Seoul, like 4 million people, and this thing, and the subway system was so nice, and people were polite.
Yeah,
but
it was
again,
nice.
the street vendors were like young kids would get out of the way for old people, or like give them a place to sit. I'm like, oh my god, they're so nice.
Mhm.
The fuck's wrong with us?
Because they're allowed to just get a fistful of chicken whenever they like.
Chicken
Oh, and
on a
it's
stick.
Chicken on a
It was-
stick. That's right, baby.
Yeah.
That's
Chicken claws.
See, now I'm hungry about it because, like, oh, I'm thinking about every time I think about the food from Korea, I start getting hungry again for it. Oh, I miss it. I miss it. Like when I was in England, like I got drunk enough to like I was on the border near Scotland. Like I got drunk enough, like just bring me some haggis. Like, are you sure? I'm like before I sober
God.
up, just bring it to me.
No,
I
you
need to
should
know.
never get that drunk.
I did, and I liked it.
I mean, that haggis is great for when you're drunk in the same way that it's great for like mopping up engine oil.
Yeah,
It's
we call
kind
it
of what it's
We
designed
call
to
it
be.
Denny's. I know. I've been there, and it's like I was backpacking around the UK. I was actually in Korea. Took a month off. Went to the UK. So I started off in London. Then I went over to Ireland. I went up to Scotland, and like right along that border, there's a little town called St. Boswell, where my family came from, just over the border into Scotland. But like, oh my god, yeah, it's like just I've been drinking. I think I'm in oh hell, Glasgow, and I'm just like just. Bring it to me. Like, are you sure? Like, put it in front of me before I say no. I need to know. And I ate it in a side of yams. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or I was drunk enough that I don't remember.
It'll fill you up
Yes.
and possibly stop you from being sick, which is what it is designed to do. Yeah, Glasgow, well done. Well done on still being here.
That was 20 years ago.
You know what? That's nearly been an hour. I think we could start wrapping up. Givy, we didn't spend nearly as much time talking about you and your books as we should have.
Fuck
But
it.
it's been fun to have you here to talk some shit.
Dude,
about
I'd
the
love to
Marvel
come back. If I
Universe.
was ever invited, I'd be back in a heartbeat. So,
Well, if we ever do like a full side quest on intestinal parasites, which we will,
I'm honestly shocked we haven't.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
well, we'll be opening up a can of worms, I guess. But
Ah.
that's why.
So what you did
on
there.
the podcast.
Tell us where we can find you, Gibby.
all right. Facebook, just look up MK Gibson. Twitter, at Gibson MK1, but still just look up MK Gibson. You can find me, or just Google me at mkgibson.com. You can find me, my stupid blogs, my books, and all my contact information. So, and thanks. It's been a blast. Thanks for having me on. And like, I stand in the shadow of your work.
Listeners, you know how to use the internet. We shouldn't have to remind you, you idiots. So yeah, please do look up MK Gibson. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. We've had a blast. Thank you. For
Cheers,
coming.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Thank you, man.